All right, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. This is Virginia Dahl. Sorry for the delay. This is Virginia's Creative Stamping Corner, and I am excited to show you the products that I have for you to demonstrate for you this evening. I will introduce a slight caveat. What I'm going to tell you is that these products that I'm going to show you are part of the online exclusives event or promotion, I guess, that we've got going at Stamping Up. And this particular set, I didn't realize it as I was designing the cards, and only until a couple of days ago I found out that this particular set of products are no longer available. They're, how should I say, they're unavailable at the moment. Okay, they will be back and available at certain times, and various things are different, coming back at different times. So rather than ordering the entire suite collection, you can't use that number. You'll have to order things separately, or wait until the week of April 17th. And then the final thing is this little group of gems right here. That's available the week of May 1st. So just letting you know that the Irresistible Blooms set that I'm going to be showing you, including the paper, the loose frosted dots, the dies, and the stamp set, are available, but not right now. They're unavailable at the moment, but will be available in early April, or in mid-April, I should say. And the week of May 1st, they are predicting that the whole suite will be available again. So I guess it's more than just a March 1st or a promotion during March. Okay, so those are only some of the items as part of the online exclusives. There are many more items, and then of course you have to find and go with using this QR code. You have to go and find them on the Stampin' Up! Online store. That's the best place to find them. And a couple of the items are some punches that we haven't had in a long time, some circle punches. Unfortunately, those are currently unavailable, but will be back available the week of April 17th. And there are some other punches and so forth that are still unavailable, that are part of the mini catalog. Unfortunately, what we're running into is a supply chain issue, and also the fact that this is a new program, and we did not fully realize exactly how popular some of the items were going to be. And that's always a very difficult thing to predict. And then you don't want to have too much inventory on hand, and of course then it's not a good thing to not have enough inventory on hand. So anyway, but we will be getting back to our mini catalog in next week, I believe. I haven't quite decided what I'm doing yet. Okay, so there we go. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pop this up and give myself a full screen here so I can see what I'm doing, and so I can see what I'm showing you. And I'm hoping that anyone who is here will be able to show me comments and so forth. I may have lost people because of the delay, but let me go back here, and I should have my closed captioning on. Not sure why that's not on. It is on now. Okay, thank you. All right, so this video will be edited and put up on the on my YouTube channel, and within the next few days. It seems like we kind of forget about it and then have to do it. It takes a little while to upload it. But anyway, the editing is to help with making things a little bit more smooth as far as the transition goes, etc., etc. My husband does a really good job of going through this and editing out bits and pieces that are not really necessary to the card that we're making. For example, what I just told you. probably will be edited out. So anyway, here is the card. And I had so much fun. There's so many ideas on Pinterest available, and YouTube, and also on Instagram. I've seen many, many ideas with this stamp set. So I want to show you how to make this card. And I used, the only thing I stamped, well, I stamped two things or three things in here. I stamped this greeting. I stamped this design on the envelope. The rest of that is designer series paper. And I stamped these little leaves on the inside of the card. All right, let's talk about some of the items that we'll be looking at. Of course, the Irresistible Blooms stamp set. It is a cling mount stamp set, so that means it's red rubber, and it's plenty cushioned, so you don't have to worry about having anything especially soft underneath of you, so you always get a good image with this. But I always double check my stamps before I stamp to make sure that the more solid images have inked properly. So that's it, the Irresistible Blooms. I'm using these two small pieces that I've stamped out of there, and then the Hooray, It's Your Day, It's a Birthday kind of a thing. Okay? Now that's the Irresistible Blooms stamp set. Here are the Irresistible Blooms dies. And I have some pieces that I've cut out. Whenever I get a new die set and designer series paper and whatnot, the stamp set, I start playing with it basically and figure out what the components and what the dies do and so forth. These two dies, actually I should say three dies, this one, these two, and these leaves, all and this small flower shape right here too. These all and this one, they all cut out designs or pieces of the designer series paper, and I'll show you that in a few minutes in the card. This makes a lovely piece, a beautiful, almost ribbon-like. Kind of reminds me of the 60s when we used to hang those things in doorways and stuff. You know, that kind of a thing. This is cut from a piece of designer series paper, and that I will show you in just a minute. So that's that, and it has different shades on it. Okay, and then of course here are some examples of some things that were actually stamped. This was stamped. This was cut out of designer series paper. This was also cut out of designer series paper. These green leaves, not the blue-green ones. Okay, and you can see the other side. There's a difference between. That's a stamped item. Okay, so I'm going to put all those back in here because I did not use those pieces, but I do hold on to them in case I might need them for another card that I might make a little bit later. I never throw too many things away. Okay. All right, so that's the Irresistible Blooms die set. And there were a couple of other items that I did use on, one other item I should say, that I did use on one of my cards, and I really want to talk to you about this. This is part of the online exclusives. This is a set of 3D embossing folders. That means that gives you a really deep impression. And there's a special series of plates and so forth that you use for this. I'm hoping you can see what that looks like. It's like a crosshatch kind of a pattern. That's one of them. Another one of the ones is a polka dot, and it's really, they're very deep polka dots. Okay, like almost like bubble wrap. And this piece here, which is almost like, I think, starfish. It reminds me of starfish. Sort of a floral type of a pattern. So you can see that. Okay. Maybe a little. Okay. So anyway, all three of those come. So that's one of the online exclusive items. Okay, so I wanted to, and you will see that in one of the cards that I will show you that after we make the one that I'm demonstrating. Okay, so let me show you the colors of the Designer Series paper. I'm going to pull these out really quickly and tell you these two colors, we're having a color refresh start in May, and we as demonstrators will not find out exactly what colors are retiring and what new colors are coming in and what retired colors are coming back. These two are retired colors. This is Pretty Peacock, Lost Lagoon. Those are the two returning retired colors. This is Flirty Flamingo, Soft Sea Foam, Petal Pink, and Daffodil Delight. These are all colors that are part of the Designer Series paper. Now the Designer Series paper is 6 by 6. So again, I'm going to try to show you this really very quickly. And again, our Designer Series paper has two sides. It's beautiful. This is not specialty Designer Series paper, so it's definitely two-sided, two patterns on each piece of paper. All right, so there you can see some of the colors that we are dealing with. Very nice, very spring-like, I think, pretty much kind of colors. Now I'm going to flip this over, and here is the other side, which is a little bit more neutral, some patterns, not quite so floral, and enables you to use that as a beautiful background piece. So remember, I told you what those colors were already, okay? And so we will be using those. I want to show you what the dies do. This is a piece of the Designer Series paper. I used one of the dies that I showed you earlier, and these are the small flowers, and these three in the middle are the bigger flowers, and that cuts it right out, okay? Some people even go as far as to go ahead and cut out the edge pieces as well, because sometimes you're tucking things under and, you know, not one to want to waste anything. That's a good idea. And those edge pieces, if you decide not to do that, there's still something that you can either punch or stamp on this or cut out on these four corners, that you can at least utilize that paper. It's beautiful, beautiful paper. I'm not sure how well the lighting is showing you this paper, but again, the same idea. This one has the smaller flowers, and then the three, and I guess that's the same format, okay, with a different combination of colors. A lighter Flirty Flamingo or Petal Pink, and then the Daffodil Delight. And this was Flirty Flamingo. And again, the leaves, you can see the two different leaves that were punched out, and I showed you some of those earlier. And again, you know, whatever on the edges, you could use that as a stencil. If you wanted to use that as a stencil, it's perfectly, you know, legit to use it. You wouldn't be able to use it for very long, for very many cards, because it's very thin paper. It's not cardstock, but that's just what it looks like when you utilize the dies, which Stampin' Up! More and more is giving us the opportunity to use that on our Designer Series paper, which we feel like, I love it. Everybody that I've talked to, we love to have the ability to use our dies not only on our stamps, but also on the paper that we're using as, you know, background pieces or whatever. It expands the options that we have to use. So just wanted to show you what that looked like. Okay, now let's go ahead and get back to that card. All right, hooray, it's your day. Okay, I've started to make a few more of these these birthday cards these days. Okay, so what we need for this card, again, I try to do this and try to make sure that I do some stamping and stuff ahead of time. With this particular piece, what I did, after I stamped the flower, I went and I took the flower, I cut it out of that masking paper. Remember last week I showed you how to use the masking paper, and I put it down on this. Then I took my leaves and I stamped where I wanted my leaves so they would look like they were coming out from underneath the flowers. And then of course then you pull it back off, and that's basically what it looks like. It's coming out from underneath the flower. You could go in and, you know, with a blender pen or even with a marker, a Stampin' Blends marker, and color in the flower if you wanted to. Okay, so that's what this looks like. And I always saved my little masks. Okay, and the colors that we're using, Flamingo, a Flirty Flamingo, and Pretty Peacock. Here's our sentiment, hooray, it's your day, and I'll cut out around that. Here are some of the leaves that we're using. Again, these were punched out of the Designer Series paper, so we'll be tucking those underneath. Here are the flowers. These are, again, Designer Series paper. Okay, the very pale yellow with Daffodil Delight and the Flirty Flamingo. This is the die that I thought was probably one of the most spectacular. It was like the one that looks like a beaded ribbon. This is so neat. It doesn't cut out this wreath piece all the way. You can go through with your scissors and snip around the edge if you don't want an edge to it. But I just cut a 3.5 inch square piece of paper, which was just the right size, as I centered the die to leave a little tiny bit around the edge, and that gave me a little bit more of an option when I wanted to pop this up on my card. So that's there as well. This is the Designer Series paper. It is, and I forgot to write down my measurements, silly me. It is 4 by 5.25. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at the colors in that. There's green and pink and yellow and white, and sort of a mauve-y kind of a color over here. And there's the other side of that Designer Series paper. And this piece that you will mount it on, this piece is, I'm going to say 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, which is typically what I do. So that gives it a little tiny bit of a border around the edge of it. Okay, and we will be mounting that like that. All right, and a piece for our inside, and I believe this piece is going to be, I do it again. I always have it on the wrong edge. 4 1/8 by 5 3/4, or 5 3/8. Sorry, 5 3/8. So that goes on the inside of our card. That's our insert. That's basic white. Here's our card base. This is Flirty Flamingo. It's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. All right. So let's do a tiny little bit of stamping. I believe I'm going to do a little bit of stamping off. This Pretty Peacock is a gorgeous color. It's a little dark, and I didn't want to make it quite so dark on the inside. You can see how dark the leaves are on this piece. So I wanted to stamp, what we call stamp off a little bit before we stamp on our basic white paper. So to do that, I have to find here, I'm going to use this piece of paper over here. Okay, the stamp that we're using is this leaf right here. There's a darker leaf and a lighter leaf. You can also do an awful lot, and I've seen a lot of people do embossing with white embossing powder, heat embossing. And so there's that. That's pretty dark. I'm going to go over here and do that, stamp off with it. Don't know if you saw, that's where I stamped it off. And then I'm going to take this and do it right here. I do not have the Lost Lagoon, and you're probably wondering how I have some of these colors. I saved I saved the retired colors until they do a color refresh, and that enables me to have some things on hand that I don't have to buy right away, because if I already have the ink pad and the re-inker and some of the paper, then it's a done deal. It's the same thing. It's the same style pad. The paper is the same. It's always the same color. Everything is very well color coordinated. So I do tend to keep those for a while. So I'm going to take my my mat here, my silicone mat, and my Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on the outer edge of, I'm not trying to use too much adhesive because there we go. That's good enough. And we're going to put this on the inside of our card. And it is going to leave a small border, smaller than usual, because it's a slightly bigger piece. So remember, that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. There you go. Which is bigger than the 4 by 5 1/4 we usually use. All right, so that's done on the inside. Yay! Okay, now we're going to go ahead and go into our background piece, and let's go ahead and build the layers using my Tombow multi-purpose glue. I try to use very little, a very thin little line of this. You don't need much. This sticks very, very well. And it lasts you a long time. Okay, now this is a directional piece of paper, so make sure when you put it down, you're aware of it's in portrait, what we call portrait mode or whatever. It's not landscape, it's portrait, it's up and down. So I want to make sure that my pattern on my paper is up and down. So be really aware or cognizant of that. Okay, so there's that piece. Now, since this is going to go directly onto this, I'm going to go ahead and put it on. I could stop here and start building my piece and then add it to it, but then that gets kind of bulky. So I'm going to go, I mean, it's all a personal preference. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my piece here, my card base. Okay, I'm sorry, making sure that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just putting glue on the back. My glue lasts a long time, but it does get used up eventually. So, all right, making sure that I'm putting it on the front of the card, and that this is the bottom of the card right here where my right finger is. Again, very narrow, and the glue allows me to kind of move things around just a smidgen. All right, so there we go. So we see a little bit of the pink, a little bit of the Flirty Flamingo. And I like that layered look on there. Okay, so there's that piece. Now, for this piece, let's go ahead, and we're not going to use the glue at the moment. We're going to use some dimensionals. And we have enough so that we have regular size dimensionals and small or mini dimensionals. We'll have enough that we'll put one in each corner. So we can use there's enough room to use the bigger ones. So I'm going to do that. And I want to show you one other thing. I hope I remember to do that before we finish up here. I want to show you the loose polished dots, or frosted dots, I should say. They are really, really pretty cool. And I'm going to go ahead and mount this and try and put this centered as much as possible. So I'm going to remove the backings from my dimensionals. I can't think of what it is that I'm using right now. All right, so I'm going to put this, and I'm going to turn it sideways again because it helps me make sure it's straight. And I'm going to try to make sure that this is straight, so that I can put this on here straight, and I want it, and I'm going to just kind of hover where I think I want it, looking at the top and the bottom. The top and the bottom are going to be even, and the sides are going to be even, but they're not going to be exactly the same, all four the same. So I'm just going to put this down gently. That looks pretty good, so I'm going to go with it. There's nothing, of course, in the middle because you want to see that gorgeous pattern in the background, and I try not to cover that up too much with the other items there. All right, so we have some leaves, and we have these flowers, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the flowers down first and then tuck the leaves up underneath of them. And of course the big one goes down, and I'm covering up the corner here so that it looks kind of like this, and then leaving a little space right over here. I like to kind of dry, as I call it, dry fit it, so that I can see I'm going to need glue on parts of these things, and I'm going to need dimensionals on other parts. So I'll pull back down my dimensionals, and let's see how this goes here. All right. I don't see any comments. I know that I am live on Facebook. Hopefully people will be able to find me again. All right, so this one I think I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on this edge right there. And I don't want to put too much stuff on there. I think I have also underneath of part of that a dimensional. So let me take a dimensional and put a dimensional over here. Okay, there we go. And okay, and then a little bit of glue there, dimensional there. Okay, and that should help us. Now there's not a lot to glue it to here, so you have to be careful that you don't get too much glue, because you do want this to stay popped up off of the card, so it gives it that dimension. So be careful with that. Think about that when you're trying to put this together. And I'm looking at the way the flower is made, and I'm going to put a dimensional here. All right. And I believe a little tiny bit of glue right here. Okay, on that edge. Not too much, because I don't want too much to go there. All right. Okay. Now, we have to choose where we're going to put our flower, our pieces here. And since this one is going to be popped up, I'm going to put this on a dimensional and stick it underneath of that. So let's do that, because that has a little yellow on it. I think I want it near the yellow flower. And let's do that dimensional. Okay, oops. Can you see? Yeah, there we go. You have to remember, I have to remember to watch and see that you're able to see what I'm doing. All right, so let's just pop that under here. And make sure you remember this is a card base, so you don't want it to go beyond the edges of your card. And this piece is going to have a little bit of glue on the edge of it right here. I'm going to tuck it up underneath the flower a little. And again, I want to make sure that my edges, there we go. Okay. You can put the glue on the back, or you can actually put it on the front so it will glue to the flower itself. Now, since this is on dimensionals, okay, I'm going to do a little scooching that around there, because I did put a dimensional under there. Okay. I'm going to move my dimensional up a little bit. All right, so I can get my flower under there. And I'm going to put that on a dimensional. Okay, it's probably this edge right there. Okay, because I still want that raised up off of that piece, so you can see that. All right. Sometimes things go together differently on live. Here we go. I want that to go right in here. There we go. And that pops that up still, and it looks okay. There we go. Now let's take our little friend here and let's do a little bit of just sort of fussy cutting around it. Nothing fancy. You could just put it there if you wanted to, but I thought maybe giving it a little bit of, a little bit of I don't know, character perhaps, maybe. Looks like it's kind of zigzagged out of here, kind of cut out. So here we go. Just kind of do that. A lot of people are doing that these days with their cards. So, and it does make it a little smaller. And there. Okay, and let me cut that little sharp edge there. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to use my mini dimensionals on this one because it is little. And part of that is going to go on the bottom. Those mini dimensionals, a couple of those. And part of that's going to have a little bit of glue on it because it's going to go on here. All right, I do want it popped up a little bit. Okay, there we go. Just a little tiny dot of glue. Okay, and as I said, this is very strong adhesive, so you don't need to worry too much about that. Okay. I'm rethinking that I want that or not. I think I'd rather have it like this. There we go. And there's a little bit. There. Hooray, it's your day. All right, this is the part that I wanted to show you. These are the frosted dots. These will not be available until May 1st, I believe, the week of May 1st. All right, now these are frosted dots. They do not have any adhesive on the back of them. So one of the things that you have to do with these, we've gotten so spoiled with that because we like to do the, you can see that tiny little thing right there. Okay, it's rounded on one side and flat on the other side. Of course, you're going to want to attach it to the card with the flat side down. And I'm going to use, I think I used all the same color, so I've used my Take Your Pick tool to pick up 3 of these. All right, now I'm going to continue to use my Take Your Pick tool because I'm going to put glue in 3 places. Say a little dot of glue up here, and a little dot of glue here, and one in the middle of our yellow flower. There we go. Now I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool and my scissors. Oops, that's a pink one. I don't think I want a pink one. I want a yellow one. Here. Okay. I need to pull the yellow out of that. Okay. Now you can see that I have the rounded side up. All right, there's all my glue dots. I'm going to take the sticky putty part of my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to put that on the glue dot that I have there, or the dot of glue that I have there. And use my scissors to kind of help me keep it there because this is sticky. It's going to pick it right back up again. So, and also, if you put the glue on there a little bit ahead of when you're doing it, it makes it a little bit less it makes it a little bit more tacky. All right, so here we go. I'm going to put this in the center here. And there we go there. So those little pieces fit very nicely on that. So those are the frosted dots. The loose frosted dots. Okay? And I believe it's like either Petal Pink or Flirty Flamingo, Daffodil Delight, and the other color. And there are 3 sizes for each of those colors. And the other one is, I believe, the Pretty Peacock. So it's really fun. Really fun. All right, so that's the card. That's the one that I wanted to show you how to make this evening. I am going to move some of these things out of the way and show you the other 2 cards that I have. Now, again, if you've watched me at all, you know that I do tend to look at Facebook, and I have several people that I follow, demonstrators that are very well known in the Stamping Up community. And what I want to show you are some cards that were inspired by them. And this is kind of a compilation. This card itself is a compilation of the different things that I saw on Facebook. So I thought I would try to utilize some of that. So there's that birthday card. So let's move some of those things over. Please, if you're new to my video, please make sure you share my video so that other people can see. It helps me grow my business, and I'd really appreciate your sharing that with me, for me. All right, now this is the one. I just love all of these cards. They're just so gorgeous. All right, this one is using something fancy, the sentiments from that, and then there's a die set that goes with that for the actually a bunch of I call them label dies. But here you see that piece that I had shown you earlier from one of the dies. I did put, and these are the pretty peacock ones, I did put these frosted dots on there. This is Pretty Peacock stamped off once. Okay, so it's not quite so dark. You remember how dark it looks there. This is Pretty Peacock full strength. All right, and then this is that crosshatch piece, and I'm hoping you can see it. There you go. It is just gorgeous. I really like texture, and of course I tried to match this up with the paper as well too, kind of carrying on a theme. And then there's the flower. Okay, so that's that piece, and on the inside, of course, I did the leaves, the group of 3 leaves together. And finally, the last one I did, this was a challenge card for me. I put this together. This was the most recent, and I think it was Monday. So that would have been yesterday. The mystery stamping card that Sharon Armstrong demonstrated. This is the format that she used. This is the type of thing that she used. I did a little bit more layering with it because that was part of my challenge, to do layering and to do bold and bright. And it had to be a happy birthday card, and there had to be ribbon involved. So this is what I did. And I thought that turned out really sweet. And this is one of the Something Fancy dies. And this is from the Go-To Greetings, Happy Birthday. So there you go. And there's that piece. I did not put anything on the inside because there's this beautiful piece of Designer Series paper right there. So that's considered a fun fold card. So there you go. So, all right. So I think you can see what we did here. And I'm going to put that like that, perhaps, so you can see all of the cards. Okay, so that is what I have for you this evening. I hope you were able to follow along and watch the replay if you need any more information. I do put in my comment section exactly what it is that I do use in making my card. So I'll add the information regarding the materials that I used for this card. The other information I shared with you will just be verbally. I'm not going to write all that up for you. You can also go to my YouTube channel, Virginia's Creative Stamping Corner. I have both of those, both places, Facebook and YouTube, have the same name, so they are connected, and that way you'll be able to find videos that I've done in the past. I'm still in the process of uploading a lot of those videos, and we need to go through and edit them. And of course, many of the cards that I made with retired items, so I'm not in a huge hurry to put them on there, but they do have a lot of good ideas for card making that you might be able to take and use on your own. So I would encourage you to go to my YouTube channel, Virginia's Creative Stamping Corner, and find that, find the videos that have been uploaded, and you might find some card styles or card elements that you like, and you can take it from there. All right. So this is the 14th of March. I will see you again on the 21st of March. And I am looking forward to sharing a new or a one of our items that we haven't looked at for a while because we've been so busy looking at things from Celebration or things that were part of the mini catalog. So I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm doing yet, but it might be something still from the mini catalog because that's still ongoing. The mini catalog lasts through the end of April, as well as our annual catalog lasting through the end of April. I think either May 3rd or May 1st for either one of those two things. So go ahead and look through that, look through the YouTube channel, and I will, if you need the information about what it is that what materials I used, look in the comments section of the Facebook page. All right, take care and make sure that you stay safe, stay warm, hopefully wherever you are, and you can make sure you try to do something creative every day. I'll see you later. Take care.